winter releases her grip upon the heart of Dixie, and life returns to the mighty oaks and pines of the Southland. Once again, the highways, byways, and back roads of Alabama bathe in the warmth of the sun. From Foley to Fort Payne, Hamilton to Dothan, and Opelika to Moundsville, nature reawakens across the state as the fauna and flora emerge from their winter naps. And every March for the last 43 years, wagon trains such as this one take to the roads and travel for days. For this community of friends and relatives, it is an annual ritual that forges bonds never broken and memories never lost. Each year, these wagon trains from across the state set out on journeys that all converge on a single destination, Garrett Coliseum in Montgomery for the annual rodeo. In the past, as many as a dozen wagon trains have participated, and this year there are 4. And every one of them has been formed around 3 common traits: love for their fellow riders, love for their horses, and love for the Alabama outdoors. For the Lee Chambers Saddle Club riding out of Seal, Alabama, Montgomery is 80 miles away. The journey will take 5 days to complete, and everything they will need must be taken with them on the wagons. How did this phenomenon of converging wagon trains begin?
Idiot!
What compels these riders to undertake the adventure every year? What is the reward? Join us as we discover the answers on Wagon Trains Over Alabama. This is Don Walker, one of the pioneers of this wagon train tradition. It all started way back in 1973 in the small town of Forney, when Don and his friends decided they wanted to take the slow way to the rodeo.
The Forney wagon train from up at Center, Alabama started 43 years ago. And we just, a bunch of old cowboys, got out and got to talking about starting to ride into Montgomery, and we was the first wagon train that ever come into Garrett Coliseum.
They found their best draft horses, fixed up their best wagons, and gave themselves plenty of time.
We all worked together and put it on, and it kept growing, and then started out it was just horse riders. And then in 2 or 3 or 4 years, the wagon went to growing, and we've had much as 40 and 50 wagons besides 200 and something riders down through the years. But people went to getting older, the older folks, and passing on, and us younger ones just kept moving up and putting it on and kept it going. And the Forney wagon train made 40 years, and this is 3 years I've come down here and rode with these fellers at Seal.
But that's good. Thank you.
It's a crisp Saturday morning, and the Seal train needs to get started today if it's going to make the rodeo by Thursday. Some folks have spent the night here in the starting spot. Other wagons are still coming in by truck or tractor. No one's in too big of a hurry. There's no need to rush on the wagon trail. Folks got to eat, and the horses need tending to. It takes at least 3 months of training to prepare the horses for an extended trip like this one. In the wild, horses can easily cover 20 miles a day, but for the domesticated horses, it takes 3 months to attain the correct fitness level. It's the first day of the trail, and there's a quiet sense of anticipation as each person prepares their horses for the day's work.
That
clean my trailer out so I could shower and everything in there during the week.
I always wanted a horse coming up as a little girl, but I lived in the city. My parents didn't have any idea about horses. So I was 60 years old before I got my first horse, and that's him out here behind me, Tank, the big black one. And I got thrown off my first horse in September. So it's one of those things that I'm not going to be outdone. We're going to learn this thing one way or the other.
Debbie Britton is on her first wagon train to Montgomery, but she shares the one common trait that unites everyone on this trip: a love for the beautiful creatures that will pull or carry them for their entire journey.
I was raised to plowing mules. We had to work. We was poor farmers, and I've been a shoeing horses and mules 56 years. It's just something that I like to do, is fool with them. And I still break a mule every once in a while or two, and I buy some and break them, put them to working, but I'm getting old enough now, I don't do it like I did.
You know, the horse is completely at our mercy. People bring these horses on a ride like this and have not mentally and physically prepared them. We've been on rides where, you know, horses have died.
As a professional handler, Erica Franklin is well attuned to the bond between man and horse.
Any day a horse will die for you. And so just that feeling, knowing that, you know, the horse, you know, puts his life on the line for you, you know, trusting you that you have his best interest in mind, that you have prepared him the best to your ability, and that even if along the way, you know, he gets to where he can't make the rest of the journey, that you're sensitive enough to pick up on that and be willing to change plans. And it's just a lot of responsibility dealing with an animal that you know is willing, you know, to die for you if you don't manage them properly.
Before it's too late, the seal train gets a-moving. Don's got his mules ready to go, and there's no need to doubt it. The 2016 wagon train is underway. The clip-clop of horseshoes on pavement and the jangling of bridles and wagons provide a steady rhythm for the riders. It's the comforting heartbeat of the trail that lets each of them know all is right with the world, or at least Alabama. 2 days into the ride, and this fellowship of kindred spirits has settled into the journey with contentment.
Watch 'em, watch 'em, watch 'em, may I see? Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Didn't have to get up real early. Got to sleep in pretty good, didn't we? Rode about 20 miles yesterday. Had a good day.
Mark Sneed has lived his whole life on the trail, and he won't get in a hurry for nobody. The world's just too crazy to get caught up all in it.
I've been about 40 years. Been going since I was 10-year-old. I just like driving my mules. Enjoy the people. Driving my mules.
It's a common theme among the riders, a love for the company, man and beast alike. The wagon train to Montgomery is an annual opportunity to slow life down a bit and enjoy the simpler things. This is Tara Bryan. She's on her first trip, but she already knows she'll be back for more.
It's just a wonderful adventure. You get out of the house, you get away from the TV, you get away from all your stress, and it's just, and like Ricky said, you know, you get to hang with people and hang with horses that do the same thing that you do, and that's care for horses. You know, that trait's probably almost gone, you know, in people nowadays. They want to drive cars and four-wheelers and get on a horse. Get out in the sun. Get some fresh air. Get off the games. Unplug.
For those always zipping around in their cars, always in a hurry for who knows what all, it's too easy to miss the serene beauty and southern charm the state highways and small towns offer every day. For them, the idea of plodding along staring at a horse's rear end for days can seem torturous, but that doesn't seem to faze Mr. Sneed.
It's kind of tough. I mean, you gotta like it to do it.
Just about everybody on these rides is real sociable, good people to get along with.
I love messing with horses. It's a great. You have to experience it one time and you'll be back if you can get a chance.
The shadows start growing once again, and the horses need rest, so it's time to get off the trail and make camp.
Before the ride come up, you go and get permission to stay there again, you know, at different campsites. And some of them we had to pay them to stay, and some just let us stay there, you know. But you got to keep everything cleaned up and neat where you can come back next year.
There's a routine required for the animals. The mutual needs of trust, care, and service nurtures bonds between riders and horses, not easily described, but deeply felt. If you want them to take care of you, you got to take care of them.
Once they come in from the ride, that's when the night routine starts. You got to get them unharnessed, get them cleaned up really well. They'll usually have a good bit of sweat from the day. Leaving dried sweat on horses can cause infections and sores and make the horses uncomfortable. So, you know, get our horses cleaned up for the next day.
With the horses and mules taken care of, it's time for the nightly highlight.
I shut the pony wagon train down. I just come down here and went to riding with them because they're a good bunch of people. Main thing is they cook taters and cook for you every night. That's an important thing out here.
We have a little cowboy grill over there, and everybody grills out and bring your own food. It's a great fellowship time.
The evening is spent in pleasant conversation and shared laughs over life on the road. But it ain't long before it's time to hit the sack. Tomorrow's coming, and the trail is calling.
I usually cook a can of biscuits every morning, have some gravy and eggs and ham, but this year I'll only be cooking for myself, so it won't take me long to do that. And get out and get everything ready to carry your rig up to the next campsite. You have to find a good place to tie your team. You go on up to the next campsite and you just repeat the same thing every day till you get to Montgomery.
The morning routine consists of brushing and feeding the horses, cooking up that can of biscuits and hitching the wagons. Just a few more miles to the end of the trail. Time to pull out one more time. The annual Wagon Trail to the Rodeo is the best opportunity each year for the riders to indulge in their passion in the company of those who share it. It's been a fun week, unplugging from the real world and tackling an 80-mile trek with their horses. But today is Thursday. They'll be making their way into Montgomery today, and with that knowledge comes mixed emotion. While there is the satisfaction of achieving their destination, there is a tinge of disappointment that the journey won't last forever. Soon these friends will return to their jobs and the horses to their pastures, and there is a growing sense of wanting to keep the real world at bay for as long as they can. No one objects when the decision is made to rest a spell.
I think another really important part of the wagon train is the way it can bring together so many different people on a very special level, that you can have grandfathers, mothers and fathers, grandchildren, children all together on one wagon, or even some riding and some in the wagon. I feel like there's very few sports and activities today that truly involve an extended family.
Getting into the thick of Montgomery, the city traffic can get a little much. So as they find refuge in a shopping center parking lot for a few minutes, they have a chance for a little community outreach. Almost everyone they meet along the way is friendly and excited to see the horses. But for these city folks, it can be a rare treat to get up close and personal with such beautiful creatures. The riders enjoy the chance to share the joy the horses bring to their own lives.
Guys are tired.
Oh, he mean.
But there is a rodeo to get to, and they can't just spend the whole day on the side of the road. With a few final waves and pictures, they head back out.
Yeah, it's fun all out around, just enjoyment riding. Get around all the horses together. We always stick together and try to keep the cars off each other coming through here. It gets a little crazy sometimes.
As the wagon train makes its final approach, the traffic becomes more and more of an issue. Law enforcement is on hand to help out. The riders are a familiar sight to the locals, and most take it in stride.
95% of the people are just nice as they can be, but one or two of them, if they have to get off of 70 and slow down to 40, it makes them mad, you know. But that's just the very few people that does that. Most people slow down and wave and enjoy seeing the animals and the covered wagons and stuff that they don't never get to see no other time.
This merry band of riders left out of Seal 5 days ago, and now they can feel the end fast approaching. It's been a good trip, no accidents and very few issues of any kind. Friendships have been forged and good times shared. At last, in the distance they see it, Garrett Coliseum. After 5 days on the trail, they have arrived. There's no big to-do about it, just a quiet sense of satisfaction. The horses are let loose, free to join those from the other trains. Looking out at the crowded field serves as a reminder that other riders have undertaken the same trip from their own hometowns. But this wagon trail has reached its end, and Don Walker and Mark Sneed and all the others from the Seal Ride busy themselves securing the horses and wagons and preparing to say goodbye.
That is an original. That's from 70 years ago, that wagon is.
Kind of like this trip. It was kind of easy trip. Kind of easy.
You see, this was never about reaching the destination. It was all about the journey. Sure, a few will actually stick around and watch the rodeo, but most just want to get back out.
I'm going to Tennessee next, week after next. On another wagon train, do it again.
It's a way of life lost to most of us in this day and age, but these riders are more than happy to keep the tradition alive.
See y'all later.
Thanks for joining us for this look at Wagon Trains over Alabama.